What's going on, fam? We're back. Another episode. Today, we're going to talk about generational wealth. In particular, is generational wealth attainable in our community? And we've got some special guests with us here today. We've got Miss Erica Hall sitting here. She's a financial advisor, preacher, entrepreneur, business owner. She started a company, Wealth Advisors, started in 2010. And she's been in the financial industry for over 20 years. And she, in 2021, launched My Advisor, which is a tiered subscription-based program designed to make financial planning accessible for all. So thank you very much, Miss Erica, for being here with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We also have Miss Urenia Ricks Johnson, who is an estate planning attorney, first-generation lawyer, graduated Eastern Michigan in Cooley Law School, and in 2007 founded Ricks and Associates, a law firm here locally in the Detroit area. And in 2016, she co-founded the Corporate Development Institute, which is a nonprofit offering mentorship, life skills, financial literacy, and professional development. Ladies, thank you very much. And also, they have a podcast. Everybody got a podcast.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that later. So we're going to start off here real quick. When we talk about generational wealth, one of the things that I like to do is to come up with the Webster's definition of topics that we talk about. So Webster's is saying generational wealth is described as a collection of tangible and intangible assets such as money, real estate, businesses, and financial knowledge that are passed down from one generation to the next to provide a financial future for family members. It's about building a financial legacy that grows over time.
Yes.
So with that being said, y'all the experts, but I'm gonna go to B. You tell me. No. I want you to tell me, what's your definition of generational wealth?
I mean, if I was to just brand this dictionary, not a Webster, or, I got to put my disclaimer out there. But to me, looking at generational wealth, it would be just taken from me going down. If I had homes that I could give down to my kids that would be within the family, that would go, this is grandpa's house that went to the kids and the great grandkids and so on and so forth. I don't know if there was a possibility a vehicle could transfer down. I'm not an entrepreneur myself, but I would say if there was a family business that could go down that's producing, income or whatever, there's a lot of tangible things that could go from my generation to a couple of generations back of value, not just, I left something raggedy or a failing business, but I think something that could give income to not only myself, but let's say my grandkids as well that started with me going back. So that'll be my definition.
Carl?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess using your Webster's dictionary definition and also Brandon's definition.
Oh, your definition.
No, I'm saying
Pop quiz.
that would be my definition, to leave a legacy. And I'll just say it, leave it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
My problem is, and the reason why when you ask the question off the top, is it attainable for our people? I think a lot of, from what I've heard in popular culture and modern day culture, particularly through celebrities and athletes and then people who idolize them, I want money so my kids don't have to work. And that's why I'm like, do you really?
No.
I mean, is that really obtainable? Or can I leave them a house? Can I leave them enough money to bury me?
Okay.
Let
me jump in real quick.
Start
One
with the
thing,
basics.
Yeah, let's just.
and then we're gonna go to the ladies. The one thing that stood out to me in that definition, and I think for me, I know I've missed it, the word knowledge. Because I think that in order for you to have generational wealth, Carl, to your point, and like we were talking the other day, yeah, I can leave you $3 million, but what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
If you blow it, then that's not generational wealth. So we have to pass the knowledge down. So Erica, let me ask you, what would you say is the biggest misconception that our community has with generational wealth?
That is just money. The biggest misconception is that it's a comprehensive approach to all of it. And so the definition also said, so it's everything that you all said, and it's tangible and intangible. So it's not just the real estate and the money, but the knowledge and the influence. And so I've even taken the definition further to say that, I would even expand it to say wealth is access to whatever you need when you need it. And so if you have access to whatever you need whenever you need it, then that includes influence, relationships. One of the things that I try to do when I started building these relationships and teaching my children about wealth, and it's about having, it's who you know.
Yeah.
Being able to have a group of advisors that my children can access for everything they need in every area of life when it comes to buying their home, getting an education, having access to attorney. My accountant is my children's accountant. My attorney is my children's attorney. Knowing that whenever they need to, because knowledge helps you to be able to know how to disposition assets or how to attain assets and not get into tax trouble, not lose the money because you don't know how to manage it. Money is a lot of work. Having assets, having things, it's a lot of work. You cannot be lazy and have assets. You cannot be ignorant. You don't have the capacity to maintain them. And so you will lose them. You will definitely, and not only will you lose them, it'll cause you more trouble than you're able to handle.
Okay. So, Urenia, let me ask you, why do you think that our community is so behind the eight ball when it comes to how to build generational wealth?
I think it's systemic. I think it's the educational access. I think it's our approach. I think we learn how to handle money from our environment and who we're around. I think about, growing up, the value of the experience of money. That's how we learn it. We learn it from the people that we are around.
Yeah.
And most of the time, I think it's just the education. So I think that if we had more access to where people actually understood it and understood what it is, like Erica was talking about, what it is and what it is not, I think it will help.
Yeah.
Because you think about even during COVID-19, when a lot of people had access to financial help and assistance, as well as, we hear all the time when people win the lottery and then a year later they're broke.
Yeah.
My thing is that you have to make sure that you have education. I always say, even when you are doing things financially, I think it needs to be a requirement where there's some educational piece with it.
Definitely.
Agreed.
We think about when people, as I go back to COVID-19, when you give people that have never experienced that type of money and without any type of education or any parameters,
They're going to go straight to Somerset.
and that's why Somerset, and that's why you couldn't find any color TVs.
We do that real well.
The Gucci store was the
line outside the Louis Vuitton and Gucci store.
Because that's what they
Priorities.
and also teaching people what to value.
Yeah.
Right? Like what's really valuable. We, sometimes we've been taught that what we have on is valuable as opposed to what we have in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned education, and I want to jump real quick. Schooling, for instance, when Carl and I were in middle school, we had economics class. We had classes that taught us how to write checks, to, read stocks, how to, draft a resume, the whole nine. You don't have that anymore, and I have a BWF, best white friend.
That's a good term.
I hadn't heard that before.
They said, wait a minute, what's that?
He gave me a very interesting insight. He grew up in a Republican household, but he's a Democrat. But he told me once, he said that if the bottom fell out and him and his wife lost their jobs because of how he was raised, they would be good for at least 3-4 years. All the bills would be there. Annuities, savings accounts, the whole nine. And when he told me that, it clicked, and I'm like, excuse my language, damn, I didn't grow up like that.
Yeah. And I had a client similar that his family ended up, in high school, his grandfather they own property like in Port Huron, and they were really, really kind of wealthy. And they asked him, did he want to go to college? And he was just like, no, I'm not really interested in college. I don't know really what I want to do. So his grandfather told him, City of Detroit is coming back. He went and gave him about $300,000 to buy up property in the city of Detroit. And now he's a major investor in the city of Detroit because he gave him that vehicle and gave him guidelines on what to do. He established a company, started buying up properties, and told him what to do, what kind of to buy, what to look out for, gave him advice on what to do with that.
Yeah.
And just kind of gave him that jump start, even from this perspective of giving him money, but also giving him parameters, giving him some guidance along the way in order to build as well. I think that helped for him to build because college is not for everybody.
Yeah. But financial education is.
But
it's like that part in there.
To your point, though, on that, Erica, how do we make financial education, cool? How do we make it sexy to the, kids coming up now? Because all they want is the here and now. They don't think about the long game. They just want, I want the Gucci shoes, and that's just it. I don't see myself 3, 4, 5 years down the road, unless you be, because he had someone ask him about a 5-year plan. So,
oh yeah,
it's a challenge. I would say make it sexy. It's definitely it definitely has to be start early. I don't know because. And then sometimes financial being responsible is intrinsic. It's like some people are just born savers, some people are born spenders. But talking about a client, I do have a few clients where they have put it in their trust that those who are inheriting the money before they get their funds, they have to take a financial literacy class. Okay. They have to have some kind of financial literacy education before they receive their inheritance. And in fact, I've had clients where they don't wait until they pass away because if they're in need now, why not start giving them their portions once they reach a certain age? But they still have those financial education requirements. And I say start early. I've been to some schools where it's still a part of the curriculum. In some schools, it's a part of the elementary education. If you go so far as not just teaching, because most of our math problems were spending calculations. If you have $5 and you buy this for $3, how much do you have left?
Consume.
Right.
How much does Susie have left? Right?
Yeah.
It's about so when we talk about the skills that we have, we don't know how to invest. And that's why we're fearful. We don't know how to turn $100,000 into 5. With that capacity of investing, it takes, even though you said the third generation may not want to work, the Bible says that if you don't work, you don't eat. You still have to do something.
Oh, I agree.
Right?
Yeah,
I agree. I'm saying from our perspective, and I've heard this saying, and it's going like, but like you're saying, why would I want that for my great grandchildren or what have you?
Right.
I would want them to exactly. I would want them to inherit and continue the knowledge. If you want to build on what you've been left, that's great. But you need to have that knowledge. And like you said too, and I like this because both of your examples pointed on this, drawing from I have access to what I want when I need it, and how it's because, that young man and said, okay, well, his grandfather, well, here's $300,000, go do this. But it wasn't like, here's $300,000. It was $300,000 with parameters.
And the thing about it is you have to be able to take those things. It's like passing the baton.
Mm-hmm.
But if I don't teach you how to run,
exactly,
you're going to drop it.
Exactly. Right. Because statistics also show that generational wealth don't make it past the third generation.
Absolutely.
What's that saying that says hard times make...
Oh, I know where you're going.
Hard times make strong men.
Strong men make
good
easy times.
That's right.
Easy times make weak men.
Yeah.
Weak men make hard
Hard
times.
And then the
times.
cycle continues.
The cycle
Yeah,
continues.
continues,
And
yeah.
that's why by the third generation, the money's gone because, they be like, oh, these kids ain't like we were. They want to sit
Right.
around. They
Mhm.
feel entitled. They so
Mhm.
entitled because they've had easy times.
Exactly.
Yes.
And these easy times have caused us to now look at what's coming. We're looking at the onset of some hard times.
Right. We
Comfort is
are.
a quiet
We
killer.
are. And I think that, I think because we don't value or keep that education before them. We don't teach them that because you were given this, you have that responsibility as well. Just like I had the responsibility, you have the responsibility as well for your children's children, as well. So if I'm teaching the next generation to look out for the next, as opposed to just for me.
Yeah, there's your generational wealth.
But see, I think too that it is a two-way street.
Yes.
Okay.
I can tell my sons, this is what you should do. But ultimately, it's up to them. And I think a lot of times
What if he says no?
we get frustrated because we're constantly preaching, in hopes that, hey, they're going to get it one day.
And that's the reason why you can set up a trust that says
if you don't get
if they don't do it, then you have it go another way.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why the trust vehicle is so important. Most of the time, my clients, they'll tell me they don't have an estate. And I go into estate planning and they say, oh, they don't have an estate. And my response to them, if you have $1, you have an estate. There's millions of $1 bills within the state of Michigan. We're all in Michigan. But if you look up unclaimed property, that's where wealth is, right there.
Mm-hmm.
We got millions of $1 bills at unclaimed property because people did not properly plan and did not properly build that generational wealth because they just left it. I thought that I just got a fur from grandmother and she left me $80,000.
And didn't tell me I was the beneficiary.
But didn't
There's
tell me
an art to transferring wealth
Granny-
in that
because
Granny
generation.
had dementia.
Or you pissed her off.
That's realistic.
Or you pissed her off because
Yeah.
you weren't coming, you weren't calling, you weren't going to visit. She asked you to come over and move a couple of pieces of furniture, and you didn't go, so she did.
You was
She
at
said, I'm not
Somerset.
These
gonna
are real
even-
situations. These are all real situations.
But I'm not gonna tell you that you the beneficiary on my life insurance because now I don't trust you because you might try to off me.
But see, also that like I said, that trust and even having a trusted advisor, even to be over the trust, if you feel like you can't necessarily trust your family, to make sure that they go through the process. Make sure that they actually have those things. So you think about all these trusts that are already set up, like Henry Ford family has a trust. That's the reason why people are living on these are. You hear trust funds. That's what it was. Someone long time ago set up a trust, and guess what? They didn't put their kids in charge of that trust.
No, because they didn't trust them, which is the name of our
That's why I call
podcast,
it
by the way.
Yes.
Trust issues, because that's what I wanted. I remember wanting to set up a trust with my family, and one of the best ways you could start to fund it, because everybody may not have $100,000 just to put into the pot, and so we said, well, let's create life insurance policies out on the family and make the trust the beneficiary. And that generation, this was the boomer generation before me, and they was like, well, I ain't trusting y'all with a life insurance policy.
That's too big.
On me,
That's too much.
I'm
She
gonna
said,
be
wait a
worth
minute.
more dead than alive, is what my uncle said. But that's how you get started. That's one of the ways that families who don't have a lot of wealth can get started, is with those kind of investment vehicles.
My biggest concern too, though, is buy-in. That's the thing. You got to get people to buy in. You can get 2 or 3 people to buy in, but then looking at the broader scope, how do you get everybody else to buy in? Because Brandon, being 30 years old, are your peers thinking about generational wealth? We know you are.
What you mean?
You different, man. I'm just
I
saying.
thought I was out here for self-preservation, but
Listen,
Who told you that?
but
It only takes 1 or 2.
But I think, especially now coming in my 30s, I see a lot of my peers and they're going here and a lot of going here, especially with the economy. Is you like look on LinkedIn. I just got laid off. You can't think about that stuff when you're getting laid off, and then you got the other person like, well, I'm investing in real estate now. I got 2 properties and a lot. So I think we are, speaking from my generation, what I see, you got apples and oranges with it. But can we all get on the same pace? I don't think so. I think economically, financially, and educationally wise, we all at so many different gaps. And then you talk about the trust funds. I got friends that came up in families with trust funds, so like they kind of privy to it. I didn't come from that. I'm like, I wish I was a trust fund baby, but I don't know, the first steps of it. So you got somebody like me on the other side. While I might be okay, I don't have a $275,000 trust fund just waiting when I turn 37. So I think it's so
Are you
many
talking
different.
specifically about somebody that's got?
Dang, don't be.
Oh no.
I'm just making up numbers.
Listen, man, look, we grew up in Detroit, so we always looking to hit a
I don't
lick.
have a $275,000 trust fund.
All right.
So that's all I'm just saying.
He's
I think there's
serious,
so
too.
many different spots and angles, so it's hard to tackle.
But I think that's the issue though,
Yeah.
because as Urenia just said, if you got $1, you have an estate.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that our mindset is, I don't have enough money yet to start setting
Yes.
up this, that. So soon as I get my first $1 million, that's when I'm gonna do this.
Yeah,
or
and
I'm,
I'm
you know,
gonna
and
do
it's
my
like,
And where you gonna get the $1 million?
but that's my point. It's like you don't have you're not educating yourself on the front end. You think that once I get all of this money, now I can start setting up these trusts. I can start setting up, doing estate planning. I can
Yeah.
start
Or even
doing
a
financial
401k.
planning. But I
Yeah.
need all of this money first.
Yeah.
I
rather
say by
than
then it's too late.
Yeah, you
It-
gotta have the vehicle. You gotta have the vehicle first, and then you can always, we call it funding the trust
Mhm.
and putting those things in there. But you have the vehicle and then a lot of times if you do hit a lick, you get a lot in taxation, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a vehicle, it can help to shelter, it can help to defer, it can help to minimize taxation of that money. So you're actually preparing for that, whatever you're trying to prepare for it. So to your point of people that are down here and up here, the planning part is for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Because by the
It's for
time you hit that
everybody.
lick, it's too late.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to talk to you. People. I won't say I don't want to talk to you, but people send, people
Yeah, what's up?
send, people send referrals. Like my cousin just hit the lottery or just won a lawsuit or what have you.
Same.
And it's hard. It's hard to convince those people to do financial things. You know why? Because this is a windfall.
Yeah, you be waiting so long.
Mhm.
And
You can
boom.
all you
And I
can
wanna go
think of
SummerSlam.
is all
Yeah.
the majority, not everybody, but all you can think of is all the things that you've ever wanted to do.
Materialism.
Mhm.
All the things that you've ever wanted to do. And the top 10 of that list, it may be a house, because that's probably the best investment you probably know how to do, because you know how to live in that house. You know how to maintain the house. It's not buying an existing business
Mhm.
or buying a commercial property, because that comes with work.
Yep.
It's not, and so I tell people all the time, I want to get to you before you retire. I want to start working with you when you're just getting paid, so we can build the momentum, we can build your capacity, we can build your understanding, we can build your appetite for having money. You can build your appetite for having an emergency fund, a midterm fund, and a long-term investment account, and then build on top of that where you can now establish a business and incorporate that business. And when you have an emergency, you're not pulling out of your 401k, you're pulling from your emergency fund. And then you got that midterm fund that's going to refund, that's going to replenish your emergency fund. So there's like a system, and I'm building your appetite for being wealthy.
See, but
Yeah.
that's
So
my
it-
question. Where's the appetite? Because I talk to people, they're like, "You got a 401k?" And I'd be like, "Yeah." They're like, "Whoa, I want one, but I don't want to take that out of my paycheck." And it
Jesus.
just starts right there. So
Yeah,
it's like
it's just
I can't
that
help
initially,
nobody.
It's just that but it's that
So-
education on why, like you said, make it appealing. And I think it's
How
to
do
show
you make
them
that part appealing?
long
A little
term.
bit
This
at
is
a
where
time.
this is where you can go.
Yeah.
This is where you can go if you have aspirations. What are your goals? What do you
Ooh.
plan to do? How do you plan to where do you plan to be? And like you said, he has a 5-year plan.
Yeah.
In 5
And
years.
tell them you're not gonna miss that money. You're not gonna miss that little $50.
See, they gonna tell
Yeah.
you going somewhere, man. We going to the
Yeah, I'm
club.
telling you, it's not. This why I'm not in that financial world, so I don't have to fight that
Fam, real
battle.
quick for everybody following along. Hit a lick just means you coming into some money. So we wanna make sure. I want to talk about barriers to building generational wealth. And Urenia, you talked about something earlier, systemic issues.
Mhm.
So we're talking about things like, historical disadvantages. I didn't know until I started researching this that back in 1935, there was a Social Security Act that was passed,
Mhm.
which excluded domestic workers from getting Social Security.
Hmm.
So, of course, we were domestic workers, our ancestors, so on and so forth.
Mhm.
And then I think in 1950, they expanded it to
Expanded it.
where.
Mhm.
So, when you think about building generational wealth, there are still consistent barriers that we have. The wealth gap that we're looking at between black and white. There was a study, Federal Reserve done, I think it was back in 2022. Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis did a wealth gap study, and for every dollar of wealth that white folks had, black people conversely had 25 cents. So 25 cents to a dollar.
Mhm.
That's a quarter of what white folks have when it comes to generational wealth. So how do we eclipse these barriers to generational wealth?
I think it's one step at a time. I think you have to change, start looking at money in a different way,
Yeah.
but that only comes by education and information. And I think that from the standpoint of we were not given a lot of the education concerning what
Mhm.
vehicles that we can use at our level. Okay, we're
Mhm.
at 25 cents. What can you do with the 25 cent? Okay, we can't do anything about we losing the 75. We can't do anything about that.
Fair.
But what can you do with the 25? And you have to concentrate on that instead of concentrating on what we're lacking. Because if you take that 25, you can grow it
Yeah.
at a great rate. You can grow it and actually end up being wealthy.
Yeah.
But you have to take what you have.
And that to me, I'm glad you said that. That's a very interesting point because I know for me, being the person that I am, I hold on to certain things. Like for instance, my family's from the South.
Mhm.
And that being said, there are certain people I don't necessarily get along with. I tolerate them because I have to, but I think just the whole mindset of looking at, man, I'm at 25 cents.
Mhm.
They at a dollar. We have to start thinking more along those lines of what can I do with this 25 cents?
Yeah.
Because for so long in being here in the Motor City, aspirations, everybody got an uncle that had a Cadillac coming up.
Mhm.
That was the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
Not realizing he probably wasn't investing. He was working his butt off at the plant.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. I grew up with plant workers. My mom and dad. That's how they came. That's how they came up, and we lived okay based on the fact of that's what they had. That's what they had, and that's what they did in order to educate myself and my brothers. They used that vehicle, but that's what they knew. But from education wise on. So when I went to college and how to expand my money, spend, instead of being in student loan debt. I had so much student loan debt, right?
Mhm.
Because I only knew debt. I only
Yeah.
knew, okay, in order to get here, I wasn't really taught like I can have some vehicles in order to make myself so I can be out of debt.
Yeah.
I only saw debt because they got me to that point, but they couldn't really teach me beyond that point,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Don't you
You
think
know?
that was by design? I mean, we get
Yeah,
into
just like
it.
you
So
talked about the Social Security only being open to a certain group and then it being systemic. It is definitely by design. I think what we need to do is we have an individual responsibility, and I think we also have a collective responsibility. We talk about how the dollar, when we talk about our purchasing power, we know as a community we're in the billions of dollars of how much we spend, how much we collect at church on Sunday.
ask Target how much.
Yeah,
Just
they
saying.
know. And so that
Right.
tells us, so right now we're in a place where, so it is in our investments that, where we can collaborate and as a collective and have a whole lot of power, but we can definitely have a whole lot of power with where we spend our dollars. There's another area. So collectively, if we make sure that that our dollar circulates in our community, and I'm not talking about just geographically, I'm talking about demographically in our community, like other groups, the dollar circulates in the Jewish community for 2 weeks. In some communities, it circulates for 27 days. In the
about
Black
us?
community, it circulates.
Hours.
It
Give us a
leaves the
couple
community.
days.
It doesn't
You
circulate.
said needs a couple days.
Hours.
You said needs a couple
Give us
days.
some
And that's important. That's important. Group economics is why other communities have immigrants have been able to come over, build up communities, and have a whole just have a whole like downline of supply
Network.
for all networking their businesses, and they've surpassed our community as far as their wealth.
And we
So-
see that here locally, Dearborn,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
you know, and I think too that they've been doing it forever. And you would think that we
They
would
moved
have,
from
Well,
Dearborn to Birmingham.
Well, we
in West
have too.
Bloomfield too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
We
didn't
Birmingham.
escalate.
They
They done
But
got to
again,
Birmingham.
it's
They
systemic
finished now.
because it's built into us a distrust of one another,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
or an inferiority. So
Mhm.
if I'm doing business with another Black person, it's almost like the standard of excellence has to be way up here,
And with a discount.
and I want a discount.
And hook me up.
You ain't.
I need
you
a-
ain't gonna
You know what I'm
So we
saying?
gotta have both
So
of
it's
those.
like, you
My
know,
normal rate is this, but what's my hookup?
I can go, I can go into a business, and we talked about it on one of our previous shows.
Mhm.
I can go into a Black-owned, and we just gonna say, I'm gonna say restaurant because that's typically
Yeah.
where we know we're gonna go.
You stereotype?
No, I'm just saying.
You're
that's,
right,
That's the
but-
first thing.
He's not
That's almost
wrong.
the first. I'm to be honest. And this is just again systemic. When I think attorney or financial planner, I don't necessarily see Black. You know what I'm saying?
That's where I
And
wanted to
we're
go.
two, we're
That's where I
2% for
wanted
Black
to go.
females. 2% of the population of attorneys
And see,
are Black women.
that's the issue.
That's the same for.
That's the
financial
issue. And the two attorneys that I know, like I can put my hands on that I really are close to are Black females. You and it's another.
Mhm.
Shout out to Chanel. But anyway,
Right.
but it's like, we think restaurant. So we walk into a restaurant, we go get some food, and it's like you don't have a great experience, whether it be service wise or whatever. You'll go online, you'll tell all your people, I ain't never going back there, yada yada yada.
But do you go in with a euphoric outlook?
Yeah,
Being
no,
open-minded, saying,
no.
"Oh, I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna have a wonderful time."
No,
You
I go in saying what this gonna be like.
Or-
And this is
That's
this
fair. That's
is
fair.
brainwashing. I'm not saying
That's
this is
a fair
where it's
assessment.
brainwashing.
That's
Because if
real.
I
It is
go
what it
to,
is.
if I go to any other a taqueria or whatever else, I'm gonna
Hey,
walk
why you
in.
go there?
No, I'm just saying.
Okay.
I walk in with what you just said. Oh wow, let's see what they got going on here. You know what I'm saying? And if I don't have the greatest experience, I might tell somebody like, it was okay, or whatever. I'm not gonna go ham like I would with another Black person. And I'm saying that's wrong because it's not, but it's brainwashed. So now when it comes down to, well, this is what you should do with your money, and even I have relatives that had nice amounts of money when they passed, but they didn't live at the Gucci store. They didn't live, you know what I'm saying? They lived very conservative financial lives, and I'm thinking like I should have really had them pour into me more
Mhm.
because they were doing it right. But that's not what, as you using your term, wasn't sexy.
We don't talk about money in the family.
Yeah, because we think somebody trying to borrow something.
Right.
That
Exactly.
That-
Don't
it's-
even
that's
talk about
That's
it.
what I'm saying. It's
We
like
don't
it's
talk
it's
about
a
that.
Don't go
mistrust.
there.
It's that
We don't
mistrust.
trust one
Mhm.
another.
Yeah.
And if you have nice things, everybody in the family be like, you got
Oh
it.
yeah, you
Hey,
got
cuz,
it.
hey,
You
cuz,
got it.
you
You
gotta get a
got
I
little
mean,
it.
what'd
something.
you say your uncle say? I don't want to get in that because
Right.
you'll kill me. I mean,
Right.
like, what?
Right.
Why
I
we
wanna
go
be more-
here?
Right. Right.
That mindset. So when you talk about, so there's a whole paradigm shift and cultural thing, and that we have to work on. And there, how do we begin? And we began it in our families. We began it in the family unit. And then you bring people in. You try to bring your extended family in. You practice that group economics. There are some successful Black families that made sure that all of their children went to college.
Mhm.
We got a doctor, we got a lawyer, we have a banker in the family. And when we get together, we're having family meetings. You should have family meetings. You should have you should start a family business, a family LLC. You should have own property. And you begin to build that kind of structure in the family, and it will catch on.
So let me ask you: when your over 20 years of financial advising and planning, have you seen us turn that corner?
I've seen cases. I've seen cases of it. Of course, the people that I work with, they have family businesses. They bring their children into the family. They put their children on payroll. They do all those things that you read about and that you watch these videos about. People are actually practicing them. And so we just have to believe that if we implement them ourselves, that it'll work for us.
So do you wish it was going at a faster pace?
Of
for us?
course, of course. I mean, there are things that slow it down. And I want to say this because you mentioned it, kind of roundabout. I don't know if this is exactly what you were talking about, but even talking to my son, and he talks about my youngest son is 25, and he talks about his friends, how they really love this current administration because they thought that this is the kind of administration that give out checks.
We
No. I'm glad you brought that up. I want to go there. So
Let's
go
go.
ahead.
Yeah,
I have
let's
another
start
question
that.
about that. Go ahead.
That's why he got a lot of votes.
Did he get the check?
They thought
They waiting on it.
they
I was
thought
gonna say I didn't get.
Free money.
that this is the kind of administration that they gave because they received a check during COVID.
And
with
he
the
signed it. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, to make sure you
it
knew.
created this mentality that this is the kind of administration that gives out free money.
But it's not free.
No.
I know that.
Yeah, when you go
But
But that
that's
turns
the-
my
but-
mentality to that versus focusing on my role and what I got to do. I got to work.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta get educated, financially educated, and I have to have money coming out of my check every pay period to build up my 401k because there are no more pensions. The Pension Protection
That's
Act
right.
of the Clinton administration got
It's
rid
gone.
of that. They're no longer putting money away on my behalf. So what your grandparents or our grandparents and parents
Are
had,
living off of now.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
we're
You know,
not gonna
that's
have that.
there.
And now they're coming for Social Security, right? So if you don't, sir, not you, but your friend,
Yeah, my amigo.
right? I'm just looking at you.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at you.
I'll
'cause
relay the
you-
message.
Yeah,
Right.
you tell them what I said. I
Right.
said if you don't take a little bit out and put it away, you will not have anything. When the Bible says, you work when it's daytime, because when it's nighttime, you can't work.
can't work.
Nighttime is when your legs don't work no more.
Mm-hmm.
When your
Mhm.
brain don't work no more.
Mhm.
And there ain't no check coming. When you
So how
can't
do you
work.
live? Right.
So I think, and I'm glad you brought that up with the administration because that was one of my questions. It goes back to, and I keep going back to this, but 25-year-olds think, generational wealth means millions upon billions of dollars because they've been seeing this, the Jeff Bezos and what's
That's
my man?
one guy.
But no, but it's
Elon
like,
Musk.
okay. Jay-Z, Tyler
Two
Perry.
guys, three
Or
guys.
the basketball or
basketball
like
player,
basketball.
LeBron
You said
James.
it
Yeah,
was
that's
a-
They
275 people now.
and like you
So
said,
that's why.
these are extraordinary Negroes. These
Yeah.
are Negroes that are superseding
Mm.
everybody's expectation. Well, except for Bezos, he ain't.
Yeah, that's.
But I'm just saying, these are
I see
people
where
that
you're
are,
going.
Right.
like, oh my
Yeah.
God, I can be that. I can get a check and flip this check and make this, and by the end of the year, I'm gonna be a millionaire. And it's like they have this mentality, and then they'll say, well, this administration, Trump said, he gonna do this because he's for the rich people and he gonna lower the tax. Now you ain't got a dime yet, but you have this in your head. So I say all that to say my question is, politically, in terms of wealth building, from base level, is there an advantage to a particular political party or a particular vote? Because I'm thinking, if I'm coming from, and I'm gonna say Democrat, Republican, Independent, everybody want to make some money.
Yep.
So I don't care who, to me, and it's just me, I don't care who's in office. If you're trying to establish a base and build your base to be wealthy, I don't see one that's going to hinder you from doing that.
I think that we have to also understand that a lot of the political strength is at the local level. And a lot of times, and I think a lot of times, and the off elections. And I think that what they get us to focus
Midterms.
on a lot of times is the major elections,
Big
and
picture.
then those local elections and the off season elections get swept under the rug. And that's where really things are happening. From a
Mhm.
financial standpoint, Congress is the purse,
Mm.
Yes.
right?
What
So we
camera
talk.
you looking at
So
camera?
we talk about Congress. we talk about-
The treasury.
right? So when you think about financially for that bill, yes, the president signed it to make you think that it was actually coming from him. In actuality, he didn't actually want it to be passed.
Yeah.
If you think about historically, if you go back to that time
It was already in
period,
the works.
Mhm.
it was in the works.
Yeah.
So when it was passed, of course, for a photo op, he wanted
Mhm.
to make sure that it was signed by him. But that was all in the administration prior in the works. So that way it could be for a disaster
Yeah.
like COVID-19.
I love
Right?
that. I
But
love that.
the perception of it, like I said before, perception becomes people's reality.
Mhm.
So if I could put it out there in the media to you and make you believe that I am the one that's writing these checks, then you get my vote.
Yeah, but to answer your question, when it comes to you personally, in addition to voting, Republican administrations typically create an environment where the stock market is going to do well because they get rid of regulatory policies that hinder business. So they free business up. They free businesses to do more when it comes to lowering taxations of businesses. And so if you are in a position, so as an individual, if you have a business and you are incorporated, you have business income, your business income is going to pay a lot less in taxes, especially with this administration. So they've continued this. They've extended the tax breaks for businesses, for
Okay.
corporations. And then typically in a Democratic administration, you're going to have more social programs and where tax dollars are going to be used to fund more social programs. And so as an individual, you are looking at it, okay, where am I? Do I need that social undergirding? The Democratic administration doesn't necessarily look at lowering taxes
Mhm.
for individuals, but they do try to use the tax dollars that support and undergird social programs such as your Medicare, your Medicaid, your welfare, things like that.
Would it make it also easier to have access to capital to build a business?
For which administration?
For either one.
Well, again, that depends on it depends on the interest rate. So you have now where there's pressure on the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates. And if interest rates are lowered, that means money becomes more available. Right? So the Federal Reserve is a body that they have all these tools in their bag that they can use to either tighten money, access to money, or loosen access to money. So when they raise interest rates, it's because maybe they want to stave off inflation down the road, and so they want to tighten your access to capital. So you may not have easy access to capital unless you have an 800 credit score.
But we've seen that in both administrations.
We've seen it it depends on the Federal Reserve. Now, the administration can have direct policy or direct access to have influence on Congress.
Right.
Okay.
But in a typical administration, Congress, as she said, holds the purse. So they decide whether or not to pass the bill and whether or not things are going to be available. But the Federal Reserve is the body that raises and lowers interest rates and determines what the interest rate is going to be. And that determines whether or not your bank is going to give you the money or they're going to. So if they lower interest rates and they loosen the policy and they say, we want to now give capital to those who have a 620 credit score, right?
Okay.
That's how it works.
So it sounds like education is needed rather than just saying.
And I
I'm
think
gonna
it's
get a check.
important too to remember that the
Really?
Fed is nonpartisan.
Oh, I understand.
So
That was my
and
point.
no, but I think a
Yeah.
lot of people need to understand that because
Education.
they see that this goofball in office now is trying to put pressure on the Feds, but you can't do that because they're apolitical. They don't have the skin in the game for either party.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, it all comes down to education. And Urenia, you mentioned before, locally, we have to really get
Yes.
involved. And we've been preaching that
Yes.
for a long time, just telling people, you got to get out and vote. I don't care who you vote for. Just
Yeah.
get out and exercise that right. Because the way I see it is, I'm voting for dog catcher because I know what my ancestors went through just for me to have the right to vote. So I think a lot of times it's incumbent upon us as older individuals to make sure that we're teaching our kids up under us, look, this is important. You need to make yourself aware of certain issues.
And be concerned about other people. I was just my husband and I were just talking about my son. I have an 11-year-old son, and we just got an email this week that said that as of October 1st, they're cutting out the free lunch program across the state because the state of Michigan did not pass the bill, the spending bill.
Mm-hmm.
And while that may not necessarily affect my house, my heart went out to all these kids and all these teachers that have to now start again feeding these kids because the only meal that these kids are getting is at school. And now you're cutting it out abruptly, and you're not even giving them 30 days to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't learn if you're hungry.
Yeah.
Right. So those are things that are but that's in our local, that's our state government. So that's us lobbying and saying who we have in office, hey, why y'all not voting on this bill? What we doing?
Right.
Let me ask you, being an estate planning attorney, what is the biggest piece of advice that you could give people in terms of making sure that they have estate planning as a part of their plans after they leave here?
It's better to have the documents and not need them and you don't have them, right? That's my best advice for you is to have it, because if you don't plan, you plan to fail, and you're failing to give your family instructions. You leave them in chaos.
Yeah.
You leave them without anything to go off of, because the court is not going to go by what you say. And I think a lot of times people's misconception is that also they only need part of the documents. People say to me, "Oh, I only need the power of attorney," right? And they don't understand the power of attorney is gone after that person passes away. So if I have power of attorney over someone and that loved one passes away, at that time I can't plan their funeral. I'm not a beneficiary. I'm not any of those things. The power of attorney, I can't even go into the funeral home with the power of attorney and say I want to do anything.
Yeah.
You can't. It's gone.
Yeah.
It's over.
It dies.
So do you guys recommend letting people know what they got? So if you got a will, you got an estate, trust, do I need to let my son know this is how much money you're going to get?
I don't even think you need to. I think you need to give them instructions on where to find those documents and that you have it, or who to call. If
But
you
don't
have
let
somebody
them know.
trusted, I mean, if you trust them,
I'll
then yes.
hold it.
But I think that in order to keep down the confusion, you say, hey, I have the trust. This is where you find it, or you can contact my attorney. This is what you because you can always change your mind. The thing about it is with these
I ain't
documents,
let nobody
if I
know how much
say
they getting.
if
I
I
don't want you
say you
desecrating
get it
my brain.
$100,000 and then I end up spending 50,000 of it, or for whatever, and you
there you go.
that's the thing about it is
Spend your money, man.
you can still spend it and still do what you need to do. So that's why I would not necessarily give them amounts or give them anything, and just like
Fam,
what you're
don't tell
provided
them.
for.
Don't tell them.
You gotta
Don't
let them
tell
know a
them.
little bit of something.
I ain't telling them how much money they getting.
They don't have to know. They don't have to know how much, but know this: the insurance company is not gonna hunt them down. This is why we have the unclaimed property.
You may get something. I'll tell you with the paperwork, but I'm not telling you no.
But you know what?
I saw them in Mendez
At
movie.
least
See,
They still ain't getting out.
and again,
they keep trying, right?
And I think I think the other part is we have to have those conversations, because
the tough conversations.
My mother has said to me on several occasions, I want to show you where all my papers are. And I've gone, okay. And I've kind of left it alone. Now, I mean, the house ain't that big, so I can find it, I'm sure, if something happened to it. But it's not a conversation that I want to have right
Well, we hear that all the time.
And it's like we have to get past that.
And those are things that you have to have those tough conversations, and you gotta talk about it and just talk about what you want, details about what you want. All those things can be laid out, and they can be a part of your plan.
Yes, you can even pre-write your obituary and everything. I seen it.
Right.
I heard
And I
about that. A
want
lot
this
of people
dress.
are pre-rating them now.
I'm not doing.
But you,
You ain't
Come
like-
on,
you
Carl.
you don't want them to put you in a gray suit?
They could put me in. I told my people they could put me in a refrigerator box in the backyard if they want to. I don't care.
but see,
Not
but see,
Kim-
that's, but see,
you
that's
gonna go
what I'm
into
saying.
Kim
But I need to
Moore?
put that in writing.
But see, that's what I'm saying. You need to put that in writing so that way they're
You
not
say that
spending.
now.
They're not spending.
gonna get you
they're
a
not spending all
Whirlpool.
that.
Yeah,
But-
we don't like to talk about. I told my children. I said, here's my here's my trust, and I had them sign it. That they're my successor trustee. 'Cause I'm the
Acknowledge it,
trustee
yeah.
of my trust. That acknowledge that they have a copy of it. Acknowledge who they was like, I don't want to talk about it. You better talk about it because you're going to be scrambling. You don't
Yeah,
want to
true.
be scrambling and bereaved
Yeah.
and mourning.
Yeah. And then also we can talk about making it okay for the trust to be operative during your lifetime. You know, so if you are operating under the trust and doing things and providing assets to your individuals during your lifetime, then it's like a natural transition because you're operating this trust. So you're not making it where it's something that you're not talking to them about it.
Yeah.
Right.
So do you
you're
go
operating under that.
full on prodigal son? Somebody, hey man, look, I know you said I can get this money. Give my money now. You give it to them and they blow it. And they come back and say, hey, now what?
I'm a believer.
I like your face.
I
love
yeah, I
it.
like your face.
I like it.
I'm a believer, and I also believe in that there's a lesson in that. Yep, there's a lesson in that. Prodigal son didn't have as much as he would have had when he came back. So I think that you're gonna have children. You can give your children the same experience, the same upbringing. They can be raised in the same, same household. They have different personalities, and you always got that one. You always got that one.
You like,
We all got that
we
one.
all got that one.
We all got
Just
that
can't
one.
get it right.
Just,
Lord.
just I want mine now. Reject all of the advice. Reject it. But they come back around. They come around. It's a different kind of setup. It's a different kind of setup because you wanted to do it your way. But some people have to bump their own heads.
Yeah. Experience for
Yep.
them has to be their teacher as opposed to they can't learn from just your experience.
Right.
You want them to learn from your experience because you often, the old adage used to be experience is the greatest teacher, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
You can learn from my experience and not even have to experience it.
True.
But sometimes experience has to be your teacher.
Yeah.
Yep.
True.
You try to tell them.
Because I still got the other ones who said, "What you say do? Okay, and do what now? Okay, I did just what you said." And they call my attorneys, they call my accountants, they bank where I bank, they go to my doctors, they go to everything.
Right.
My path, they want to walk in my path because they felt like it made life easier.
And which ones are they? Because we name names here. Eric.
Hey man.
Say the name.
I'm not saying no names because I love them.
Go ahead, shit.
Yeah, my children, I love you, babies. I love you all. I love them all the same.
I wanted to at least take a few minutes to mention the podcast that you ladies have. It's called Trust Issues. And it's an unfiltered podcast where money meets mindset, business meets boundaries, and legal meets legacy.
Yeah. That's
Yes.
good.
So which one of y'all going to tell us a little bit about it?
We both will.
We both will. You
Go
can
ahead.
Yeah, so
Got
we
30 seconds.
all
No, I'm
right.
just
So
Starting now.
we know
Do your pitch.
guys need information too. So we hope you watch the show. But we really, really, really talk to the ladies because we just have such an affinity with the ladies, especially entrepreneurs, business, those who are captains of industry who have, they've built some really great wealth, or they're on their way to building great wealth, and we want to teach them how to protect it. One of our first episodes was Secure the Bag.
Secure the bag.
The girlfriend, forever
Lord.
girlfriend.
Forever girlfriend. Yeah.
Okay.
So and then we talked. We just want to give practical examples and things that we see on a daily basis, or and within our if we can help with some pitfalls, if we can help people and educate people, like we talked about the importance of education. That's really what our podcast is about. It's about providing those steps, that education, because we both experienced where a girlfriend that's come to us and now boyfriend is gone, and
Kids
she wants
came
to try
to
to
the
figure out.
house.
She wants to try to figure out what's next.
Yeah.
What can she do, or does she have anything? Or if ex-wife has received the proceeds from
Yeah.
something, what can the wife do? You know, things that have
These
come
are
up
real
practically.
situations.
These are real situations.
So it's
right?
not like a Tyler Perry movie or nothing like that.
I mean, Tyler gets his inspiration from this kind of stuff.
Right.
Because never mind. Oh, okay. He may identify with one gender more than the other.
I can't with you. I can't.
Here you
I
go.
can't.
But it's real.
It's real.
It happens.
Based on a true story.
Yeah, it happens. It's based on a true story. And we said, you know, we talked to our friends or our ladies.
Yes.
And like, you just put in 20 years as boyfriend and girlfriend, and you didn't secure the bag. And if you don't have to if you decide not to get married, there's some things
There's
that
still
you can
contracts. There's information that you can share with your significant other in order to make sure that both parties are secure.
So
But you have to have those conversations.
do. Yeah,
though.
we're talking
Y'all
about
keeping
it
it
from
real
a
then.
That's good
from a
though.
lady's perspective, but it goes both ways.
Right.
All
It
right.
goes both ways.
And what you all want to have, secured and making sure something happens to her.
Yeah.
Or what you want to have secured, something does happen to you, what you want her to have and what you don't want.
Yeah.
Well, I watch
See,
Snap,
from day
so
one.
That's
I
one.
know.
That's one of them. In our community, we good for having a 20-year fiance.
Right.
Y'all, that's a different. I
Then y'all
don't
get
know
married
about
in year
that.
21
It's
and
like-
divorced in year
right,
22.
it's like,
Man, she
it-
gave up 10. It only takes 10 years to secure the Social Security.
Vested. Yeah.
To be vested. Both ways.
Y'all
Both
dating-
ways. So at that point in time, with that contract, because the contract, marriage is a contract, a legal agreement, and it gets recognized under the law, and it's sanctioned by God. It was created by God, but it's also legal, right? And so with that, it comes with benefits, and it comes with things that you are able to experience. But if you don't get to that point and get to that level, if something happens to your significant other, what's happening there?
Mm-hmm.
Because people really, weddings and funerals are the worst
Especially if this
time.
is your second marriage.
Worst time. Worst time.
Yeah.
Well, we will be watching for sure. Again, want to thank you guys for being here. We had fun, and maybe y'all can have us come on y'all podcast.
We'd love to.
Yeah, we can have, what we gonna call it?
we talk about. Well, they talking about the ladies. We can just kind of give it from a male perspective.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
We love to hear that.
Yeah, we love to hear it.
We
Yes.
love to hear from the guy's perspective, because I think there's a reason why they were 20-year boyfriend and girlfriend.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
And he never put her on the house
Never.
that she lived in for 20 years.
That's her
Hey.
fault.
Right.
That's her fault.
That's
That's
her
her
fault.
fault.
See?
We gonna
See,
talk
there we
about
go. There we go.
Like, was that her fault or his fault? What? I mean, what?
Ooh, 20 years, a girlfriend.
Okay, but fam, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. But we do want to say that generational wealth can be attained. It can be attained by hard work,
Work hard.
perseverance, discipline, education. And at the end of the day, if you're up to it, you can do it. We want you guys to, as always, watch the episodes, share them, like them, comment on them. We're going to drop information in for both of these ladies so that we can help them and help you. But as always, we like to say, stay prayerful, stay positive, stay patient, stay peaceful. See you guys next time.